Welcome everybody to another video talking about the Oblivion Remake. Yeah, I know, but it's different this time, I swear. First of all, I'm not using an AI voice. Sorry, ChatGPT, but the audience didn't like it.
So the funny thing about this video is that I actually started working on it before we saw this the other day. So now that we've actually had a chance to see what the game is going to look like, let's talk about what we'd like to see in it from a features perspective.
So kicking off, the first item on our list is probably the most obvious. That would be an overhauled user interface. Oblivion's UI is a hot mess, especially on PC. Menus are clunky, scaling is off, and the inventory management is a pain. Keybinds need to be more obvious, like how to drop items and hotkey. I shouldn't have to Google it. Remake should have a modern, scalable, mouse-friendly UI with tabs, filters, sorting, maybe even radial wheels for hotkeys. Skyrim's hotkey system is a little bit more intuitive, and I do know that there's a radial wheel in Oblivion, but it really wasn't the most user-friendly. Mods can even make this better as well. Now, I would say that the color-coded quest markers, I actually do like those, and I kind of hope that they stay the same. Green being inside the same room as you, red indicating that it's outside or in a different building. But overall, it does need an overhaul. For number 2, we need a modernized combat system. The old hack and slash combat really lacks weight and variety. Sometimes NPCs would just stand there as you hack and slash them to bits, and it really wouldn't feel organic. It would feel so robotic. So a quality of life revamp should include better hit detection, more impactful animations, dodging, parrying, and maybe even some light and heavy attacks, which there is some variation of, but really not that in depth. There also should be an interactive block or parry system, which I do know that the Virtuo Studios team was working on, something similar to God of War, or maybe even Elden Ring, or the Dark Souls series where we have rolling and dodging. Things like that. For number 3, we need smarter NPC AI, or implementing even real AI this time. A remake should feature better pathfinding, smarter combat decisions, and more realistic daily routines. I know bugs are a feature when it comes to Bethesda games, but this isn't a Bethesda remake. So, less NPCs walking into walls or fighting mud crabs pretending that they're dragons. Number 4, better level scaling. And I think this was one of Oblivion's biggest issues. Enemies scale way too evenly, and they make progression feel pointless at times. We also need handcrafted encounters with a smarter level scaling system, like Skyrim's semi-fixed zones or Fallout's soft level caps. I think we can all agree that the leveling system was also pretty bad in vanilla Oblivion versus Skyrim, as you could really pick your own path in Skyrim with absolute freedom. In Oblivion, it's janky and a little bit limited. You also had to sleep every time you had to level. I mean, that's just inconvenient. Imagine you're fighting enemies. You'd like to spend some points to give you that advantage over a boss, but there's nowhere to sleep, and you're looking for bedrolls and ruins. For number 5, we need a seamless world with fewer loading screens. Now, this one I could be a little bit more flexible with. In 2006, loading screens between every city and building were standard. In 2025, not so much anymore. Cities should ideally be fully integrated into the open world, and interiors should load seamlessly or near instantly. Now, given the demands of Unreal Engine 5, this may or may not be exactly possible, so if a few loading screens need to separate instances, I'm okay with that. We could say that this is a totally minor fix. It's not going to bother me that much, as stability and performance does take priority over fewer loading screens, in my opinion. Number 6, for map and fast travel improvements, the map was pretty bare bones, two-dimensional, and a little hard to use because it was so zoomed in all the time. A remake should have a fully 3D map, local maps that actually help, and custom fast travel markers. For number 7, we need expanded character creation. Let's be honest, I love the crazy potato faces and the really weird, janky looking characters that we were able to create in Oblivion, but we need more detailed customization, more facial animations, better skin tones, hairstyles, support for diverse body types, sliders. Facial hair was literally just shading on the bottom half of your face. For number 8, a quest journal revamp. The system did lack clarity, in my opinion. It was hard to track quests or really understand what you were supposed to do. A remake should have quest categories, breadcrumb trails, and an option to track multiple quests at once, which Skyrim definitely had. In a lot of ways, Skyrim's user interface quest system worked out all of these flaws. So it's our hope that this will make its way into the Oblivion Remake as well. For number 9, the inventory and loot management. Inventory was strictly weight-based and had minimal sorting options. So let's see some favorite or quick access options. Maybe gear loadouts, weight indicators that are really, really clear and easy to understand, and better ways to compare stats between items. Number 10, better magic system, UI, and spellcrafting. The idea of spellcrafting was so cool in theory, but really clunky in practice. Let's make magic intuitive with drag and drop spellcrafting UI, customizable visual effects, more feedback on spell effects, and more advanced visual effects. And I think that the most obvious thing that Skyrim had immediately is the fact that you could channel cast versus instant cast. Number 11, stability and performance in UE5, and this really just goes back to what I was talking about with those loading screens. Again, I'm okay with loading screens if the performance is optimized in the Oblivion Remake. Some great examples of Unreal Engine 5 in the mainstream right now would be Ark Survival Ascended, as large multiplayer servers with some issues, even with high NPCs, and Avowed being the most recent example of a single-player playthrough that really effectively used NVIDIA FrameGen, DLSS, and all those features and functions to make it a really amazing single-player experience. Consoles like Xbox Series X and S should be able to run the game at 60 and 30 FPS, and likewise at 60 FPS for PS5 at bare minimum. Number 12, don't change the Oblivion soundtrack. It is an absolute pure masterpiece. Some of those songs are the hardest hitting when it comes to nostalgia, and the reason I go back to the game, even with all those issues. So please, keep it exactly the same. Don't change a thing. Now for our bonus round, easier said than done, I know, but mod support from day one would be fantastic, and maybe even a hardcore survival mode for those who enjoy suffering and punishing themselves. But hey, this is just my list. Let me know what you think in the comments below in terms of what the Oblivion Remake needs and what you'd like to see to give you the absolute best experience in rediscovering Cyrodiil and closing those Oblivion gates. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.